Learn English easily. The power of love. John was very rich, with big houses, shiny cars, and lots of money in the bank. But John was also very rude. He would yell at people. He didn't care about their feelings, and he thought he was better than everyone else because he had more money. In the same town lived a girl named Sarah. Sarah was very beautiful, with a great smile that could light up a whole room. But her beauty wasn't only on the outside, it was also on the inside. Sarah was very kind to everyone she met, especially to the poor people in her community. She would share her food with them, help them find jobs, and listen to their problems. Sarah believed that everyone deserved kindness and respect, no matter how much money they had. One day, an incident took place that altered the course of both John's and Sarah's lives. It was a day like any other in the small town where they both lived. The sun was high and hot in the sky. John was driving through town in his sparkling, expensive car, a symbol of his wealth, with his typical attitude of arrogance and haughtiness. The vehicle was an engineering wonder that shined beautifully in the sunlight. However, it stops working in that part of town. It was a modest neighborhood with small, humble houses lining the dusty roads. The noise of children playing and the chatter of neighbors filled the air, creating a symphony of ordinary life. John was shocked and furious when his priceless car came to a complete stop in the middle of this neighborhood. He was lost among the modest homes and dusty roads, a situation he wasn't expecting. He began screaming at his innocent driver, shouting at the dead car, and even shouting at the dusty road, blaming his bad luck, upset about the unexpected breakdown. He got lost and didn't know why such a bad thing was happening to him. Sarah, who resided in one of the modest homes, became aware of the noise from outside. She noticed the bright car as she looked out her window and thought how out of place it was in their modest neighborhood. She also saw the man yelling angrily at his unfortunate driver. Being the richest guy in town, John was difficult to ignore. She recognized him right away. Sarah watched him lose his cool over a broken car with a mixture of curiosity and sympathy. Although she had heard about his pride and cruelty, she had never actually seen it. She made the decision to step in and provide assistance in the kind of sympathetic manner that was usual of her. Sarah walked over to John, carrying a chilled glass of water in her hand. She approached him gently, offering him the water, telling him kindly that it was a hot day and he should cool down. She suggested that he take a moment to relax, instead of letting his anger get the better of him. John was taken aback by her actions and quickly turned to face her. He was not accustomed to receiving such generosity, especially when he was in one of his moods. This simple act had a huge impact, and it marked the beginning of their unexpected encounter. Little did John know that this moment would become a turning point in his life. Following the incident with the broken car, Sarah extended an invitation to John. She asked him to wait at her house while his car was being fixed John, having nowhere else to go, and perhaps inspired by Sarah's kindness, agreed to her offer. As he stepped into Sarah's home, John was surprised by what he saw. The house was nothing like the luxurious mansions he was used to. It was a tiny structure, with walls that had seen better days, and furniture that was worn out from use. Instead, the home was furnished with simple, useful pieces that had clearly seen regular usage and were valued for their usefulness rather than their price. Despite its simplicity, the house was spotlessly clean, showing a sense of warmth and comfort that John found strangely appealing. It was cozy, and filled with a sense of love and care. It felt like a home, not just a house, something John realized he hadn't felt in a long while in his own luxurious home. In her humble kitchen, Sarah prepared a simple meal for John, consisting of nothing more than fresh bread and homemade cheese. There were no special ingredients, no lavish dishes, just basic food made with care. John, who was used to eating expensive dishes, found himself tasting such a plain meal for the first time. To his surprise, he found the meal delicious, making him appreciate the beauty of simplicity for the first time. After the meal, Sarah introduced John to her friends from the neighborhood. They were simple folks, leading simple lives, making ends meet with whatever little they had. They didn't have much in terms of material wealth, but their faces had smiles of satisfaction. Their eyes sparkled with joy, and their hearts were rich with happiness and peace. As John spent time with them, he listened to their stories. They spoke of their struggles, their hardships, and the daily challenges they faced. They also spoke of how Sarah was always there for them, sharing her food when they were hungry, finding them jobs when they were unemployed, and lending an ear when they needed to tell their worries. Sarah was their pillar of support. John, who had always lived a life of luxury, was taken aback by these stories. He was amazed to realize that life could be this tough, this raw, this real. He was equally amazed to see how people could still find happiness in such difficulties, and how they could be so kind and giving even when they had so little for themselves. This day, spent in the company of Sarah and her friends, in her small, cozy house, eating simple food and listening to real-life stories, was a revelation for John. It was a day that showed him a different side of life, a side he never knew existed. It was a day that began the transformation in John, a change that was soon to redefine his existence. As the days passed, a remarkable change began to take root in John. The time he had spent in Sarah's beautiful company had started to affect him greatly. The seeds of change had been sown, and now they were growing, transforming him into a better version of himself. It was during this transformative period that John found himself irresistibly drawn towards Sarah. It was not just her amazing beauty that inspired him, but also her inner strength, her kindness, and her spirit that touched his heart. He admired her for the compassion she showed towards others and the selflessness with which she went about helping those less fortunate. Moved by her goodness, John found himself falling in love with Sarah. Her beauty, both internal and external, acted as a magnet, pulling him towards her. Overwhelmed by his feelings, he gathered the courage to express his love for her. He asked her to be his girlfriend, to accompany him on this journey of life. And Sarah, seeing the changes in John, accepted his proposal, agreeing to stand by his side. Together, they worked on a mission to uplift their community. The man who was once arrogant and rude was now working alongside the kind-hearted Sarah, helping the people around them. They built schools, ensuring that every child in their community had access to education. They set up food banks so that no one would go hungry. They created job opportunities, assisting those who were struggling to earn a living. John's transformation was truly remarkable. His rude and arrogant behavior were things of the past. He had transformed into a kind, caring man who was not just respected, but also loved by everyone in the community. His journey from a rude, rich man to a kind human being was inspiring. But this wasn't just a love story between two individuals. It was much more than that. It was a test of the power of kindness, the strength of love, and the capacity of one person to bring about a significant change in the world. Sarah's amazing kindness not just won John's heart, but also transformed him into a better person. Her influence had proven that love and kindness could indeed change the world, one person at a time.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more.